We all learned about Henry Ford in history class as kids, but the history that he and Edward Kingsford have with the UP is really quite amazing. TV6's Abby Miller takes us along on a walk through history in the first of two parts on the Ford plant.
Think about somebody coming in today and offering 5,000 jobs in a community.
It's always neat to live in a town that's famous for something.
What month that car was made.
And in Iron Mountain and Kingsford, that famous flair came in the form of a Ford, Henry Ford.
He'd be up at the clubhouse.
Ford's entrepreneurial and creative mind, combined with Edward Kingsford's knowledge of the UP and its resources, led to an event that's published in most history books.
And Mr. Kingsford was largely responsible for talking Henry Ford into building the plant at its location just outside of the Iron Mountain city limits in what is now the city of Kingsford.
It was the opening of the Ford plant. The plant used northern timber here in the UP to create the well-known and handcrafted Ford vehicles.
They would saw lumber here, they would cut those parts out, and they would dry the wood, and then they would ship the cut parts to Detroit where they were assembled into the bodies. So they would rough out all of the pieces here.
But what Henry Ford later came to realize was that by using all of this wood, the plant was left with another resource.
What would come out the end of the distillery is lumped charcoal. He had 80 tons of lumped charcoal a day at its peak.
And Henry Ford and Edward Kingsford understood the saying, waste not, want not. And so the charcoal briquette industry soon became something else the people could be proud of.
Grilling, as we know it today, pretty much came from Henry Ford.
Well, I'm standing here at the remnants of the old Ford plant, and unfortunately it doesn't look the same way that it did during its peak, but at one point this place was hopping.
At the peak employment here, Ford employed about 7,000 people. So you can imagine what that effect did to the area.
And in part 2 of this series, we'll take a closer look at the plant's greater impact on the region and the world. In Iron Mountain and Kingsford, Abby Miller, TV6 News.